then from the first decade of our present millennium. Remember when millennium was a classy word? We haven't been back then. We've consented ourselves for the next 1,000 years. We're not worried about that. I have paid my dues in the Church of Madness, huddled in the last pew under the crimson window whose martyred saints, Sebastian, Andrew, Bartholomew, bled their light all over me until I choked on my own desires. I knelt down sometimes too and prayed for everything I wanted, and prayed to be free of wanting and free of me, and all the books were dusty and all the words in them were dust, and dust was the music in my hymnal. I sang still loud as I can, cracked voice lifted in an empty nave. So, I wanted to read some from Kimberly Lyons, a wonderful poet who lives in New York, who graced us with our presence here years ago when she was better than any of us at that time. She was a student in the 60s and 70s, late 70s. She wrote a lovely tribute to me in this thing, in which she mentions Fire Exit as now her favorite of my poems. That's a long poem that was published last year, and I'll read a couple of sections from that, if I may. Life of a bird, that's all I ask of you. The soaring, stooping down the sky, coming to rest, to sleep all night with open eye, because the language is about to change again. That's all I ever wanted, a new word, and hold it safely in my mouth and let it out, the way the bird lets itself fall, upward on warm currents over Saad's castle, when it is already there. Only then does it begin to move, to fly where it is already. So I would work then do some opening of your lips for you, so you can speak it too. It's all in Marx, alas, or if not there, in Freud, and nothing new itself in us beyond the shivering, scared, and sacramental skin of the commodity. That's all I've ever given you, darling, one word at a time. In a language where everything has its place, so naturally a foreign soldier would rip it up and take it home, walking between me and the fire. What kind of hell is this, with such lewd remissions in it? And he answered, hell is all remission. Nada happens, nada needed. You share a shadow with another shadow, insatiable as wind, always somewhere else, among the flarfy remnants of that dream you call your recent life. In this place, nothing changes. Jealous gods and tabernacle choirs, the crack house on the moon. Silent. He was silent. You can say it in one word in Latin. He, she, or it said nothing. Drink spilled, darts fell from the board. Outside of Apple Lane, to ill-thumped drums the lepers came, fright night in the local mind. Not a word, said they, but from some the breathing was so strenuous, so harsh, their gasping progress was a sort of manifesto, like D'Annunzio dropping poems on Vienna, or this weird pain in my left side, because a gasp of pain is the first word of all, and has its rightful place at the start of every dictionary. Aleph me no oxen. The first word is a cry. As I say, Fire Exit is a long poem in many, many sections, 3-line stanzas all throughout, and it has its reference point. Obviously, anybody looking at it, reading the world, would think Dante in some way, but not as translation or imitation or even particularly allusion, but just a filling up of the space left in our minds by that magisterial, if slightly insane, terza rima that Dante dropped into our consciousness. The possibility of writing about everything. So in Kim's essay, she says that's her favorite of my books. I'm glad it is, because I certainly like it a lot. And she says, prophetically, but by the time you read this, she says, you'll probably have another book out. Today, arrived today. It is called Uncertainties. It's written in 2-line stanzas, and it explores an option in poetry that has interested me a long time. That is the end-stop line, which is also part of the next line. The end-stop stanza, which is also part of the next stanza. So it's an exploration of discontinuity and continuity and how they weave together. I'm based a little bit on what I know of Arabic classical Arabic poetry and Persian poetry, though this is in no sense rhyming in that traditional way. The interesting thing is that it was published just today, or actually available just today. It's not published till the fall. There are some copies outside I gather, which are, I guess, for sale today, but they won't be again for sale until the fall. Published by Station Hill Press, which is right here in Barrytown, and which is run by Susie Basha and George Quasha, ancient friends of mine. This is our 40th anniversary of friendship, so they're 10 years behind my knowledge of Bard, but we've been good friends for 40 years. And this is this. I want to read a couple of pieces from this new book. Let's see. I haven't opened it yet. I have the sticker in of what I meant to read from my manuscript copy at home. I got it right. It's not what I want to tell, but what it tells. I tell this lie until it becomes the truth, or you do it in me. And in your hands, no lie can linger. What else can I do when blood is rising in the apple orchards up Franchelles Hill, over there in the north where words peter out, blue-green creatures explain I still am lying, as if the mind had to be reminded. Let it rest in the form of a flower, a yellow tulip from somewhere, find out where. My love brought and set out on the table, where the eastern sun now understands them. But I am baffled by such easy things. I sometimes talk to my students about this, and sometimes I think of it myself, that every line that one writes, one should think as one writes it. Suppose the angel of death, what's his name? I've forgotten his name. There it must be one. But the angel of death came and took me at that moment. Would that line, that last line, be meaningful? Would I like to be remembered as the one who had said, oh, no, Lord, would I want something more substantial? One reason why I urge people not to use one-word lines, unless it's goodbye. So here's another section of this fourth book. To run all the way home and not be there. To know something and not know you know. To be someone else's hand. What is it like to be inside your time? I don't want to make love, I want love to make me. There is a letter written on the moon, my home. Never trust a question, there are too many answers. Bus off the road in hill country, fog, nobody hurt but nobody happy. Too much singing, the snakes hurry away. He dreamed he drank ink. She dreamed she brought him a single word. Roman armies hurry through fog and rain. All the words turn black inside him. A noise like a horn call comes from the sky. After bars close, you hear them smashing bottles. Soon it will be dawn again. What will the old moon do? Is it a dark bird trapped in the attic? A wolf in my backyard come just for you? Follow your own femoral artery long enough, you'll find yourself in the body of another person. This, sometimes called love, was called by the ancients the red thread. Stitches life together with itself, you wake in the mountains. The girl brings you small gentian flowers, you go on sleeping. She says, spring is here, and you dream old Persian verbs. Girls are those shadows that leap from cliff to cliff. Heavy snow wakes you peonies, their heads busy with ants. The Long Island Railroad glides through Babylon, but you can see the sea, and all the walls are gone. I have a snapshot of you doing it. You can't fool me, it was a beech tree in the snow. They took pictures of clouds, artisans to the last. I carved this motto above your kitchen door. No wonder you don't love me like you did. Each weary day intolerates repose, scares the daylight out of ordinary falcons. See them scoot across the learned page. This woman will eat your shadow. There was no one left beside the tracks. Freight cars were full back then, but what? Name a president in whose reign there was no war. Why do we call great those who kill the most? Is it the moon that makes men do it? The fact that we elect the killers makes it worse. At least bad kings are not our conscious choice. Are we there yet? Every argument is circular. So is the sun, you sneer bitterly for us. In itself it has no shape or limit, no form. It is a gold sound that matter shouts in eternity. It makes the graybeard barley grow down here, even in mountain valleys, far from easy girls. So I wanted to end my meeting with reading two recent pieces. One of them is in the program, which had been written the day before the program got printed. And it contains a very wise remark in quotes. You'll recognize it. You'll recognize it as a wise remark, because it's maybe a wise remark in the poem. And it was given to me by that estimable young faculty member at Bard, Luis Garcia Ronaldo, who actually came a few months after I did. So he's not been here 50 years quite yet. But one day he was telling me what Mexicans say, and this is one of the things that they say embedded in this book. And I call the poem Manifesto. Let it try as hard as it can. It will be earth, we'll still breathe weather, and the Latin plain chant of the marsh frogs, no pope can interfere with, no council modernize. The robins also, hiding most of the winter, can come out and flirt now. That's all they do, all we do. Culture is one long seduction, and there's no religion like the present. Never put off to tomorrow what you could put off to the day after tomorrow. Never trust a living man to tell you what a dead man thought, or vice versa. Though Freud knew a thing or two, anatomy is destiny, he said. And that's not very comfortable, is it? Especially when the mirror throws open its arms and says, it's you. Gracias, Luis. I have a superstition to end every reading with the most recent poem, good or bad. So I want to end with the poem that I finished this morning. I guess that's my kind of forfeit. Good, bad, what difference? Here it is. More words, one more word to say. One more word to hear, possibly something. Not many miles for walking, mute. The sun, material, struggles with the thought, stuff. Image silences song. How far the trees are, though I can touch them as I pass. Shade. A beautiful March day at the end of April, this. At last, our love affair with weather. It happens, therefore it must mean. Let them fight it out. Who? The ones who hid themselves from me from the beginning. They are here now. I feel them, just beyond what I can touch. Always they have been there. They are the known the knowers know. Feel but not touch. Far off, as if someone drumming in the woods. Now, I would like to welcome two wonderful musicians who are going to give you something real to think about. First, Robin Freund-Epstein will play César Franck, Prelude, Chorale, and Fugue, which is a piece that haunts me. I begged her to play it. She plays it wonderfully, a great pianist and a great friend. It's a piece that haunts me because it was written, it's one of those things that rebukes Vautrin's notion that not all things are possible at all times. It's a piece written early in the 20th century, at the edge, at a time when we would have expected Debussy, or we would have expected early, late romantic music, one kind of little symbolist music with it. And suddenly something comes which is both ancient and modern, deterministic, modern, using all the traditional means, and mad, utterly mad. It's a piece I love very much, and she's attempted to play it. Afterwards, Shawn Moore, I'm going to say our own Shawn Moore, he will be our own for a few weeks more, I guess, before he becomes what else Shawn Moore, and then the world's Shawn Moore, a great violinist who will, with Robin, play the last movement of Messiaen's wonderful quartet for the end of time, the one called Praise to the Name of Jesus. Thank you.